Hi and welcome. This is an introduction to the COMPXM exam. Let's first go to the CAPSIM website. So that's www.capsim.com. And now we need to log in. You need to put your user ID and your password. I'm going to be using my own user ID and password. So I'm going to click now Login. And this is the screen that you'll get. Right now, you might only get the capstone simulation, which is what you've gotten since the start of the course. And it might appear right now, or maybe in a few days. As soon as you have the COMPXM exam, it will appear in here. So if we select COMPXM, which is what you should do when you're going to be doing the exam, it's going to first give you an introduction to it. And you even have an introductory video, which I suggest that you look at it before you go into the exam. So if you click on introductory video, it does open that window for the introductory video, and you can start playing it. Let's see at least how it looks like at the start. Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole video right now. You can go through it by yourself, so I'm going to close that window. And we're back again to the window we had before, where it tells you a little bit about the two sections that you have on the exam. One section, which is the business simulation, which is very similar to the one that you did through the course, and then it's a series of quizzes which are called board queries. It's a series of questions that you're going to get. So I'm going to click Next, and it tells you a little bit about the simulation. As I said, it's similar but not identical to the simulation that you run during the class. So here you have 4 new market segments. There are only 4 market segments instead of the 5 market segments. They have slightly different names: Thrift, Core, Nano, Elite, etc. You can also see how the market segments drift. If you click on the animation, it will show you then that animation on the screen. If I put on play, you can see how they drift. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole animation here, so I'm going to close the window. I'm going to click on Next, and it tells you a little bit about the board queries. Those are questions that you need to answer. There are 5 sets of board queries. So the first going to be board query number 1, with the first round of the simulation. You need to finish both of them first before you can move to the second round of the simulation and to the second round of questions. Soon as you finish all 4 of them, meaning all 4 rounds of the simulation, all 4 rounds of questions, you will have a 5th round, which is only of questions, not of the simulation. And we can click on a sample board query here, and it shows you a sample of how that screen would look like. If you click here, there are 11 questions. If you click on any of those questions, it'll tell you about it. So consider the cost of separate determinate employees and so on. So you can click on any of the questions. If you select one of the answers, you can say save the answer. Okay, that doesn't mean that it's final. You can always go back to that question and see it in more detail. I'm going to close this so we can move on. And if we click on Next, it's about scoring. You're going to be scored on possible 1,000 points. 500 of them are going to come from the board query. 500 of them are going to be from the simulation results. And how is the simulation going to be evaluated? It's going to be based on the balance scorecard. Hopefully by now you're familiar with the balance scorecard, but you can also click on Learn More about the balance scorecard, and it'll give you a brief introduction to it. I'm going to click Next, and it tells you, okay, how are you going to be setting up yourself? And again, you can use the spreadsheet, or you can do it online. I would suggest that you use the spreadsheet. If you want to do it, it's going to be similar to the simulation, but it's a different file. Now it's this file for the exam. If you right click here, then you can save that link. You can save that file onto your computer. And remember, save the file on the computer. Don't use it directly online. So if I click Save on the link, it's asking me where on my computer I'm going to be saving that. It's going to be called compxm.xls. I suggest you don't change the name, but do make sure that you know where it is that you are saving it. In my case, I'm saving it on the desktop. I'm going to click Save, and it's downloading it, it's scanned it, and it's ready for me to use it there. Let me move this window away so that we can continue working with it. Once you're ready, you can continue to start the simulation. So this is how the exam dashboard looks like. You're ready to start the exam now. In order to start the exam, you need to either go into making decisions for the round or start answering the board query. By the way, you can do either one of them. In fact, you can start doing some decisions and then you can move into some board query and you can move back and forth. The critical thing is you need to finish and submit all your decisions for round 1 and finish and answer all the questions for board query 1 before you can move to the next round. So here it tells me that I have answered 0 of the 10 questions in the board query. I can try to turn in my round. As it says in here, turn in round 1 of 5. I click on it, and it tells me already you have not uploaded decisions for round 1. And you have answered 0 of 10 questions in board query 1. You must answer at least 1 question before you can move to the next round. By the way, it would be a better idea to answer all of the 10 questions and not just one of them. So I want to go back to the exam dashboard and I can start making decisions for round 1. If I click here, it's because I'm trying to do this online. I can say work on my company's official decision, and it is allowing me to do that online using the web version. So I can go to R&D and start making my R&D decisions, or I can go into production and so on. That's if I'm using the web version of the program. As I suggested before, it might be a better option to use the Excel version of it. Another problem that you might face when using the web version is, as you can see right now, I don't have the exam dashboard anymore. It replaced it. I'm, in this case, simply going to go back and back several screens so I can get to it. That's not the ideal. So another option is, instead of clicking on Make Decisions, I can right-click on it and I can say that I would like to do Open Link in a new tab or in a new window. So if I do it in a new tab, I can go to that part of the simulation, but I can still go back to my dashboard quite easily between the 2 tabs that I have in there. And if you opted to use the Excel version, you can just move away from Excel into your browser back and forth. I'm going to do it right now with the web version. So I'm going to open the link in a new tab. I have my new tab, work in my company's official decision. I have, let's say, the R&D decisions. I can move back into the other tab I have, and I can look at my board query. So if I click on board query, we have a window very similar to the one we had before. Oh no, we really have a window that asks us if we agree to do this exam. So it gives the full name, it tells the school, who your professor is, what course you have, and you have an agreement that you have to agree on. So if I click on I agree, this will only happen the first time that you're going into the exam. Then it takes you into that exam. And again, you can move back and forth between the simulation, the dashboard, and the board questions. So here you have 10 board questions, and you're not done with any of them. You can click on any one of them and it will show you the question that you have for it. You can answer to any one of them. You have not yet saved your answers for this question. Do you want to save it? So if I say no, the answer that I just clicked on it would be lost. If I go back into that question and I say save answer, then it saves that answer and I can move to another one. And it says that that answer is in there. However, I can still go back and change it and save the new answer in there. Until I move to the next round, I can change any of my answers that I have in here. So as you can see, I can move back and forth. Now, if I go back to the dashboard, it says you have answered 0 of 10 questions. But I did answer 1. Well, I need to refresh my dashboard. And if I refresh it, it does tell me that I have answered 1 of 10 questions. Remember before, I needed to answer at least 1 of the questions. Let me try to again turn in round 1. It says you have not uploaded decisions for round 1. So it always asks me before I move on, and it always checks. Are you sure you want to advance? When the round is done, you can no longer access the questions, and any unanswered questions will receive a score of 0. I have not saved my decisions for the simulation. Let me just make one change in here. Let's make that 8 and recalculate. And I'm going to say update decisions. So my decisions have been updated. If I go back to my dashboard, exam dashboard, let's this time again try to turn in the round. It says you have uploaded decisions for round 1. You have answered 1 of 10 questions, so they're 9 pending. Sure you want to advance? And if I say yes, then I will have no other opportunity to update, to change the answer to those 10 questions that I have in there. So I might want to go back to my dashboard, or might want to go back to any of the questions and answer them properly. So let's recap here. We have our dashboard. Let's go to that dashboard where we can see where we stand, where we can open either through the website or by downloading the Excel spreadsheet. We can get to the simulation, or we can ask to go to the board queries. The board queries are all the questions that we have for this round. We need to answer, we should answer all of those questions, and then we move into the next round. There are 5 rounds. The first 4 rounds include decisions to the simulation and questions. The 5th round, there's nothing about decisions on the simulation. It's only answering questions. And yes, as you move through the exam, as you turn in a round, you will see how well you did on the simulations and how well you did on those questions. So let's recap about COMPXM. COMPXM is an end-of-semester assessment that includes both individual simulation and board query exams. Students need to complete 4 rounds of decisions plus 5 sets of board query questions. Again, 4 rounds of decisions for the simulation and 5 sets of board query questions. For the decisions, each student runs his or her own company competing against 3 computer companies, so it's a little bit easier, and the student company is called Andrews. The industry, 4 segments: Thrift, Core, Nano, and Elite, each with specific customer expectations in terms of performance and size. Students make decisions in R&D, marketing, production, finance, HR, and TQM for each of the 4 rounds. TQM and HR are required functions starting from round 1. Scoring, 1,000 points in total. 500 for simulation performance, 500 for board query performance. The simulation performance is measured using the Balanced Scorecard. Balanced Scorecard includes 4 areas: financial, internal business processes, customers, and learning and growth. Board query questions are unique to each participant because each simulation generates different numbers and results. There are key differences between Capstone and COMPXM. Unlike Capstone, in COMPXM, companies do not start with the same conditions at the beginning of round 1. Students should pay special attention to the Round 0 industry report to understand the different positioning of the 4 companies. The industry report is only available for the immediate previous round. Provides information for current round decision making. The link for the COMPXM Inquirer is located at the top right corner of the exam dashboard. The industry report is only available online and has no print option. Students can access the other 3 competing companies' annual report, that is the balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow statements. Although students only make decisions for 4 rounds, they need to submit the final round to get a recap score. If they forget to do this, their status will be incomplete and they'll miss a big chunk of point for the simulation performance. So make sure that you do that final round recap score in there. But in reality, you only submit 4 sets of decisions for the 4 rounds that you have in there. But you do have 5 sets of board queries. What else can I tell you? Really, I wish you good luck.